All right, now, speaking of building a PC, one of the things you often need to do is, of course, install the OS. Now, if you're running XP, and you probably have one of the original XP disks, you know what a kind of a pain in the hiney it is to basically update after you're done installing. You got to do service packs, you got to do hot fixes, driver installs. Why not Slipstream? What is Slipstreaming? Slipstreaming is basically taking all the hot fixes and updates and putting them in the Windows install disk, so when it installs all the new stuff and not the old stuff that you have to update later.
Woohoo!
Now, typically when you need to do this, you got to download, put them in a special folder, and do all this. Skip all that. Use this program, Enlight. Be glad you did. It's free. Now, one of the cool things that it lets you do is it has all these facets to it. Now, once you get it running, all you need to do is basically select where your OS install files are. Now, it can be on the drive or it can be on the disk. In this case, I selected the disk. And you need a location to put all these files where it will slowly coalesce into your new install disk. In this case, a folder on the desktop that I've called Windows XP Install. Click Next.
Yes.
Now I can do presets that I want. Now, since I don't have any, I'm going to skip it.
Yep. That's if you were doing previous installs and you had a custom set you'd already been working with, and that's where you'd load that in. So anyway.
Totally. Now, you notice in this menu you have Integrate, Remove, Setup. Now, each of these you can integrate the service pack, or you may not want to because there's certain things that might conflict with software that you use. Hot fixes, drivers. Drivers are always important. Components. Unattended. I actually use this because it's actually kind of cool. It's very Vista-like. Once you get the install going, you can just leave it alone. Options, tweaks, and bootable ISO. I recommend this because once you're done, it will burn out or create an ISO that you can burn out.
Oh, totally.
Stick it in. It'll work just like a normal Windows install.
I think for most people, though, you just really want to stick to maybe the service packs, maybe a driver.
I usually just do service packs, drivers. I
think less is better in this case because it's really easy to do things in here that have unexpected consequences later on. That suddenly you're just like, okay, great, I have to start over completely.
And the cool thing about this is as you walk through, it's going to warn you a couple of times about certain things as you go through the different feature sets. So service packs, we actually already have service pack on too, so we're just going to go to drivers. We're going to insert a multiple driver folder.
See, I did this for a SATA driver that was not included already on the disk, but I had to use, say, a floppy disk before, and I was getting tired of attaching a floppy drive. In this case, I could just add the SATA driver right to this install and then reburn it off as a new install disk, and boom, I didn't need that floppy drive anymore, or the disk with the driver.
Now, one thing you want to be sure of is that you're getting the right version of the driver installed. You don't want to use the 64-bit driver if you're only installing the 32-bit version of XP Pro.
Gotcha. So in this case, you're, installing some LAN drivers?
Yeah, LAN drivers. I'm going to select the things that I want. One thing to note is for video card drivers, it will install the base driver, but will not install the user interface. For example, ATI's Catalyst, it won't install that. So you'll have a working monitor, but you won't have all the gee whiz features like the overclocking.
Video card drivers are also something I wouldn't recommend integrating because they change so frequently.
Exactly.
Especially with ATI and NVIDIA. It's just worth not having any video drivers at all and then downloading the latest version once you get the OS up and running. That's easy enough.
Yeah. And we're going to just, okay.
Plug and play.
Next.
Integrate those network drivers.
Yes. And then essentially what it's going to do is take those files and stick them in the appropriate location on the setup folder that I have on the desktop. And as this is finalizing.
Ah, nice fast computer.
Yeah, and a few files. Now this is where it gets kind of fun. This is where you can actually start essentially creating or burning out your disk. And I think there's one more setting. There's actually one. Oh, I actually turned it off. But as you go through, you can actually select what customizations you want. For example, you can insert your serial number before you actually install it. So you can type it in, and the install will see it and will install with it. So you don't have to stop the install and wait for you to type it in, which is great because it saves you about 30 minutes.
Oh, totally. You can totally customize it to your specific install on your computer. So you can have your key, your username, and so basically that one disk could be set up so that it fully restores the OS install on that computer, that's really kind of nice.
Yeah, and in closing, just because we're running out of time, it's actually really good tool, especially if you're one of those people that needs to tech support other family members, and you might want to say, here's a disk that has all the latest drivers, all the latest updates for your particular system. Just install this if anything happens to your machine. That way you don't have to worry about walking them through. Go to the Windows update the Windows Update installer, update the next Windows Update installer, and then update. It's like literally 5 different hurdles that they have to go through. With this, you can kind of, be assured, as long as they don't do anything physically to their hardware, like change out a video card or swap in new components, they should be okay. But I recommend it if you, especially with SP3 supposedly coming out soon.
Or if you just bought the original OS disk back when it first came out with XP, and you're getting tired of applying Service Pack 1, Service Pack 2, you can just at least get Service Pack 2 integrated into the disk itself, and then not have to deal with that huge update chunk again. And that's really the big benefit, I think, for a lot of people.